Good evening, everyone. Welcome to beautiful downtown Grand Forks. This is the Grand Forks City Council's Committee of the Whole for Monday, March 24th. Under item 1, call to order. 1.1, welcome and roll call.
Weigel.
Here.
Osowski. Here. Berg. Here. Lunsky. Here. Friedels.
Here.
President Sandy.
Here.
And Bean.
Here.
All present. We have a quorum.
All present. This is great. Under item 2, informational items. 2.1, legislative update. Mr. Bernstrom. Good evening.
Good evening, Council President Sandy, members of the Grand Forks City Council. Not much to update this week. Everything's in committee. I was hoping to give an update on the property tax bill 1176. It was scheduled to have a committee hearing this afternoon, appropriations, and they canceled that meeting. So we are hearing some rumors that they're maybe making some amendments to the caps in that bill. So we're very much paying attention of when that one gets heard in Senate appropriations. Also, Senate Bill 2254, the public transit bill. Dale Bergman's doing a wonderful job following up on that one. That one is got passed in the House. It has to be concurred because there's amendments on both sides. They dropped the grant funding from $15 million to $2 million throughout the session. I know the city of Fargo and the city of Minot specifically, they're in a harder financial crunch with their public transit. They were hoping for more in that grant funding. We were very interested in the study that's in that bill, and that is still in there. So more to come on that one. No word on the concurring on that one. Everything has to be out of committee by April 9th and onto the House or Senate floor, and then their concurrent committees, the conference committees, will meet from there. We heard with their meeting with the North Dakota League of Cities, if you're to do the math, 80 days takes it to early May, and they want to be done before the calendar turns over to May. So they obviously want to save some days for a special session if needed, or to get together throughout the session. So we're down here to about the last month, and of course, we're still following the Water Bill 1020, the Public Education Bill, which is 1013, that has funding for the Children's Museum in it. Prairie Dog funding is in the OMB budget in 1015. We're following all those. They're really, it seems to be the domino that needs to fall is this property tax bill, and then I think the bills will be going in a hurry. But at that point, that's where we're at. 1332, our Greastal bill, is looking good. They came out of committee, but that is still waiting to be heard in Senate appropriations. So with that, I'd be open to any questions.
Questions, anyone? Thank you, Mr. Bernstrom.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Great. Under item 3, discussion items. 3.1, plans and specs for project 8703, 04, 05, and 06, district numbers 595, 357, 596, 597, sanitary, water main, storm sewer, storm pond, pump station, and force main, Corinth-Lem 6th re-subdivision. Mr. Lieberman, good evening.
Mr. Lieberman, your mic.
There we go. Good evening, President Sandy, members of the committee. This is our large industrial development north of Gateway Drive, west of the interstate. It's been a few weeks since we brought this to City Council. Last time was in February, where you approved a revised engineer's report and task order amendments with our consultant CPS. Since then, we have finalized plans and specifications, and we've actually gotten 2 out of our 3 required permits to do this work, so that's good news. And the 3rd permit, we're expecting that to come by the end of April, so just in time for bid award. So we feel we're on track for plans and specifications approval tonight and direction to advertise for bids for 2 out of the 3 projects. Those 2, one of those bid packages is the wet utilities, so sanitary, water main, storm sewer. The second one is stormwater pond, pump station, and force main. This work is going to take a couple of years to build out, so we're delaying the acquisition of the paving until 2026, once the utilities can be put in the ground. So approval tonight would be about an $11 million investment, construction cost for the first two projects, and next year would be about roughly $6 million for paving to follow. So there is a city cost share associated with this. Most of it comes with the paving in 2026. I can go into further discussion about that if there's any questions, but requesting approval for plans and specifications and direction to bid this evening.
Questions for Mr. Lieberman? Yes, Ms. Osowski?
I have some. So how much is the total project going to cost us?
The total buy-in, initial purchase before, say, the city cost share is $19.4 million. The city cost share for all three phases together is $5.9 million.
That comes out of multiple different funding sources, though, correct?
Correct. The $4.5 million of the cost share is for the city cost share on paving. That comes out of Fund 4815.
Okay.
$1.3 million is for the pond cost share. We cost share 20% of the pond. That comes out of 5400, the stormwater fund. And there's a relatively small cost share for the water main upsizing. That's the amount is to be determined, but it's maybe $50,000-$75,000.
So there will be about $16 million assessed to the surrounding
that's-
properties that are going to benefit from that?
That's correct.
Okay, I see how you got the 19.4 million then, so thank you. I move approval.
Thank you. Moved by Osowski. Is there a second by Friedholz? Thank you. Further comments or questions? Yes, Mr. Veen?
Thank you, first of all, for the conversation earlier today. That's very helpful. With the cost share for the paving, the city's cost share is 4.49 million, it looks like, and that's all available in the 4815?
It is budgeted, that's correct.
Yeah, and we have those funds built up in that fund?
We do, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Good questions. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, excuse me, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 3.2, bid award for project 8873, 74, and 75, 2025 sanitary sewer, water main, and storm sewer repairs. Mr. Lieberman.
Thank you once again, President Sandy. This is our annual repair contract for water main, storm sewer, and sanitary sewer. It's a utility breaks contract. We do some planned work with it as well. We received bids last week for this contract. 3 bids were opened. The low bid was by A&D Excavating. They're a local, I'll call it a startup company. We did a little, talk to them, just make sure there were no disqualifying factors, and we were comfortable that they can do this work. So they were 24% beneath the engineer's estimate, so very good pricing. So we are recommending tonight award of the bid to A&D Excavating.
Great. Any comments? Or yes, Ms. Lunsky?
So it's emergency, part of it's emergency. So are they paid that no matter how much work they do?
It's based on the amount of work they actually accomplish. There is no guaranteed minimum per se, but we have enough planned work that we will keep them busy with repairs. We just need the avenue that if there's a water main break in the middle of the night, that somebody is on call to physically show up with their equipment and start working.
Perfect, thank you.
Further comments or questions? Yes, Ms.
Yeah,
Ms.
I have a question. There's no map, so where is this work being done at?
Good question. This is citywide, so
Okay,
anywhere
so it's all of
anywhere there's a water break.
Okay, I move approval.
Moved by Osowski, seconded by Berg. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 3.3, Engineering Department Light Duty Truck Purchase. Mr. Lieberman?
Thank you, President Sandy. Engineering has a fleet of vehicles that our inspectors and engineers use to inspect projects. We participate in the capital replacement program for these, so we have one that is 13 years old. We would like council's approval to surplus, and under department head authority, we are going to be purchasing a similar vehicle under the state competitive bid contract. So requesting approval for the surplus tonight.
Move approval.
Moved by Mr. Weigel.
I second with a comment.
Second by Osowski. Thanks. Comment?
Yeah, how many vehicles do you guys have?
So our staff, just the engineers themselves, not our electrical portion, we have 10 vehicles. There's 8 of those that participate in this capital replacement program.
Okay, thank you.
Do you further comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Lieberman. Item 3.4, Public Works Operations Landfill Shredder Lease. Ms. Lipsch, good evening.
Good evening, President Sandy, council members. I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce Brent Olmsted. He is our landfill supervisor, and so he does a great job managing the solid waste landfill, the inert landfill, and the scale facility at the City of Grand Forks. So happy to have him here for any questions regarding this request. The request before you is for a new landfill shredder. Currently, the city contracts out all of our shredding of our woody debris that comes to the landfill. And with the addition of this equipment, we could also shred many other materials. Our plan to start would be to shred tires, pallets, the woody debris, and mattresses. As you can imagine, all these materials take up a lot of airspace within the landfill, and it's a very cost-effective way for us to manage these materials. So included in this request is the purchase of the Doppelstadt landfill shredder from Ecoverse for $641,450 via Sourcewell contract, and then authorize staff to secure a 5-year capital lease to purchase that equipment.
Are you done?
Yes.
Great. Comments? Yes, Ms. Osowski?
Yep, so right now we just source all that out, correct? How much money will we save by, because we're purchasing this, or, yeah, how much money will we save if
So
we
currently-
purchase it versus continue?
Sorry, Ms. Sosowski.
Oh, you're fine.
So currently, we pay $39.25 a ton to process this material to a contractor. And with this new shredder, it is anticipated that we could get that cost down to $3.29 a ton.
Oh, wow. Okay.
How long is the payback on the machine?
It'd be a 5-year lease.
But no, I'm sorry.
Oh,
How long till we've broken even on the cost of it versus outsourcing?
so right now, currently, we pay around $150,000 a year on average.
Sure. Pretty soon.
Which is about
4
that.
years, yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Any
Move
other
approval.
comments? Moved by Osowski. Second by Mr. Weigel. And a comment, Mr. Weigel?
How, I think there's going to be cost savings after that 4 years, but what does it mean in terms of cost savings for the actual landfill? Instead of putting a mattress in their hole, is there any way to add up, how much space we're going to be saving as all this stuff gets shredded instead of just thrown in there in one piece?
President Sandy, Mr. Weigel, there's been a study done on the cost to bury a mattress, and the cost is $45.51 a mattress.
Okay,
And we could shred it for pennies.
perfect.
I've thrown dozens of mattresses away.
You owe
No,
$300 now.
I'm sorry about that. So there is a motion and a second. Are there further? Yes, Ms. Lunsky?
How come we're leasing and not purchasing?
We are purchasing it, so it's a capital lease purchase, so we have to lease the equipment for 5 years, and at the end, we own it.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
municipal governments can't, quote-unquote, get loans, we can get leases.
Perfect, thank you.
Great, very good. I'll say that, and I'm sorry, your name again, sir?
It's Brent Olmsted.
Brent, thank you for coming tonight, and I think speak for everyone that we really appreciate all the hard work out there. It's good that we'll be able to use the wood chips for the roads and to help in the wet times. I do appreciate that. I do want to say that as a frequent user of our city landfill and the way the scale house, the people there are very kind and very helpful and are very hardworking people, and I really appreciate the fact that you tried to be open for me on Wednesday nights last summer, And thanks for doing that, and I won't ask you to do it again next summer, because apparently I was the only one there. Any further thoughts? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you again, appreciate you being here. Item 3.5, enhancements to flood protection greenway system between 47th and 62nd Avenue South. Ms. Parvey, good evening.
Good evening, Council President Sandy, members of the committee. A couple years ago, we were approached by a few residents that lived near this site, and for those that aren't familiar, it's 47th Avenue South, right along the river to 62nd Avenue South. There's actually an outfall, a stormwater outfall in this area. It's an area where people congregate. They like to go fishing down there. There's a nice flat area along the riverbank. But it also has been an area that's been vandalized and some unwanted activity has occurred there. The trail system in the Greenway was developed along the river to about 47th Avenue South. At that point, we really didn't extend the trail beyond that point. With this project, we've looked at what could possibly occur along the flood protection and greenway system and worked with residents in the area. Kim Greendahl had sent out some information back in July of 2023, and it was sent to about 179 people. She did get responses from about 58% of the people, or people within that area. Of course, we've got varying responses. Not everybody likes the proposal that we've got in front of them, but there are people that have an interest. And we did relook at the plan. The plan initially had a parking lot near our pump station and a playground area and access from the neighborhood over. We've since relooked at that, and what we're proposing tonight is that we remove the playground, the parking lot, and then that access from the parking lot from the neighborhood, and just extend the trail from the 47th Avenue area along the riverbank to this outfall so that it could be utilized by people really just within this area. The map, if you haven't had a chance to look at it, on page 3 really is a good overview of that site. There are some unpaved trails in there as well that have just been established by use along the riverbank. So we feel that it'd be a nice enhancement. It would then allow our police department to be able to access this area a little bit more readily than they can now. There are some restrictions, but we do own the property in that area, and so this improvement would be funded through a couple different sources. We do have some funding in the flood protection capital project that was identified. We also did receive a Garrison Diversion Conservancy District grant. We were before you last winter asking if the council would approve us going before a couple different agencies asking for funding. We were not successful with outdoor heritage funds, which we had hoped to receive. So we'd be recommending funding the other portion of it through stormwater cash reserves that are identified in our 2025 budget that could support this project. Do you have any questions for me regarding the project?
Questions from Ms. Barbie?
I have some.
Ms. Osowski?
It's my understanding that we just got a grant to redo the Greenway. Is that correct?
We did receive funding for the portion of the downtown part of the
Can
Greenway.
it not be used everywhere on the Greenway?
Nope, that particular grant through the National Park Service is for the downtown portion of the Greenway.
Okay, so, but to match that grant, we are going to match it out of our flood protection. I understand that there is a payment plan to pay that back for our flood protection, but I do have a concern, once again, with us pulling out of our flood protection and our cash reserves to pay for a nice lookout. I mean, we're going to spend, what, like $6.5 million down on the Greenway, and now this just adds on another $500,000. Although I don't dislike the project, I think that we are spending way too much money, once again, on that side of our flood wall, and we are using our flood protection funds and cash reserves to pay for this. And so I think right now with the grant that we have, we should move forward with that and figure out how we're going to pay for that and hold off on things like this until we know that we can financially manage what we're going to put down on the Greenway. So, thank you.
I think point of clarification, she said we were using stormwater funds.
That was the cash reserve, and I think they were pulling part out of the flood protection also.
There is 200,000 that was identified in the flood protection capital funds for this project, so that's in 2025 that was approved. And then there was $110,000 identified for Greenway Trail overlay that we don't need to use this year, that we would just incorporate as part of this project. So it does include
I guess, why won't we use that money to help pay for the grant, you know, instead?
It's just an additional project that we've identified, so you're correct, that funding could stay within there, although the way the project, that fund is set up, and I can send that out again, everything that we've identified for maintenance within the flood protection is covered through those funding sources as well as these capital projects within the Greenway.
Thank you.
And flood protection.
Further comments? Mr. Veen?
Yeah. Do you know why we didn't or get the money from the Outdoor Heritage Funds? It seems like an obvious project.
Kim Greendahl was there and received the feedback. As I understand it, they didn't like that we were paving the trail, so that was part of it, but also that there was no wildlife activity associated with this project. So we have looked at whether or not we could reapply for that funding and keep the paving part of the trail out, and then maybe the city funds could be used for that. But yeah, I understand those were the two pieces that weren't as favorable for them.
And what I've seen before, sometimes it takes multiple tries to get through. At least you've done the initial one, so it might be of value to try to amend whatever that request is to be more aligned
Absolutely.
with what we're trying to do. I see I know you talked about vandalism and getting the area cleaned up, and especially the use for fishing down there. Why were people against the parking lot? It seems to me that people would want to, if you want to get more people there, it'd be better to park in a parking lot than maybe on the adjacent city streets.
I think it was just kind of not in my backyard, just not right there, not by the pump station. We really don't need a place for people to come, because this would be more for the neighborhood or the community that lives along the riverbank, is the comments that I seen.
Yeah, but you may get better utilization if you have a place for people to park.
And that could always be something that we could relook at if there was a desire to add something in the future.
Yeah, and I looked at the
Absolutely.
percentages, and people definitely were probably against parking. I was just trying to understand that from a little bit
Absolutely.
more on the outside. So that's my questions.
So, Ms. Parvey, do you see this as something for the neighbors that just live along the river there?
No, it's more of a neighborhood resource and amenity. Of course, anybody who bikes along the river or walks and wants to fish could definitely come and utilize that space. It's not a very big space, but it's well used by those that have found it and like to utilize it. And I should say tonight, we're just asking for your permission to bid out the project. We wanted to make sure you still supported the project before we bid it. We could come back with those recommendations for bids too, if was our plan.
We do always, like our flood protection supports the maintenance of the greenway.
Correct. We do. We have two different funds. We have a capital flood protection fund that we've identified large capital items, both enhancements as well as maintenance. And then we have our 5400, which is our stormwater fund, which also has sub-departments within it that have funds for maintenance items within our flood protection system that we utilize too. We usually identify items around under $50,000 within our maintenance budget that are needs within our community for that maintenance task, if I've explained that correctly.
Mr. Weigel?
I think I could see where Ms. Osowski's going with it. I don't necessarily disagree, and I think Mr. Veen has some good points too on some of the grant funding. I guess for me personally, I guess I'd like to see the bids and where those stack up. I think we had a bid tonight that was $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 under where it would be. So, is it a need? I don't know, but I guess I'd be interested in seeing the bids as well.
Okay. Ms. Berg, comment? No? Yes?
Well, with Danny's comment, I would support that, and so I would motion to approve.
Okay, moved by Berg. Is there a second?
Sure.
Second by Mr. Friedolfs. Thank you. Chair Ward, so that makes sense. Further comment? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion carries. Osowski dissents. Thank you very much. Under item 4, city council member comments. Ms. Osowski, anything for the good of the order?
Yeah, I do. So next week, we're going on our Gristo site visit, which I'm really excited about. So if anybody has any particular questions or things that they want me to look at, please feel free to send me an email, call me, whatever you want to do, and I will try to get those questions asked for you. Only because I don't want us to forget presentation on the pilot programs and also on the renter fees. I would appreciate to see those in the near future. Also, I have a question. Have we ever started a committee regarding our sign and billboard code that we had? I was approached, and we told the public that we would start a committee on that. I understand it's a pretty big code, but I'm just kind of wondering if we've made any progress on that.
Planning and zoning has a standing sign committee.
Oh, they do?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the sign committee.
Yep.
Perfect. Question answered. Also, I guess the last thing I have to say is I was sad to read that a child was hit over by Lake Agassiz School, and just please make sure that you slow down around those schools. We have lots of little kids that walk to and from, and our children are our most precious gifts from God, so thank you.
Mr. Phelan, did you want to respond?
I was going to, on Councilmember Osowski's, that we are planning to have the tax incentive presentation on April 7th at City Council, and then also the rental program update at the April 7th City Council meeting. And we probably can also update them on our Gristo trip too, Ms. Osowski.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Berg?
Yes, I had an opportunity to go to Feast of Nations hosted by UND and the international organization, and it was phenomenal, so thank you for putting that on. I also wanted to note that I've been to the public library a few times recently to, I just deleted it there, sensory story time that they offer to the community. It's really cool, so they have a lot of great programs, and I encourage people to check it out.
The library is awesome. Ms. Lensky?
Just remind everyone, we're not here next Monday, right? It's our 5th Monday of the month.
Very good. Mr. Friedolfs? Yeah? No? Mr. V? Vice President Weigel?
No, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Is there a motion to
I move
adjourn?
adjournment.
By Osowski, second by Berg. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We're adjourned. Thanks.